Okay.
I will go live now.
Okay.
So can you give me an option to share the screen?
Once we start the session, it's already there.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, doctor, we are live.
Okay. So a very good evening, everyone, and welcome back to Tea Talks Tuesday once again. I missed last session meeting all of you online, but today I'm back here with you guys. So today is an interesting topic on gluten, and Dr. Lakshmi is here to clear all our doubts about the gluten, because gluten has so many myths and facts associated with it. So I call upon Mayuri to introduce Dr. Lakshmi to all of you.
Thank you,
Mayuri.
doctor. Thank you, Dr. Janki. And good evening, one and all. Welcome back to another interesting session of Tea Talks Tuesday. So we are here, and I'm privileged to give this intro of Dr. Lakshmi here. So Dr. Lakshmi Kota is a Bachelor of Pharmacy from Bangalore University, and she did her Master's in Food Technology and Nutrition from University of Georgia, PhD in Food Technology and Nutrition from University of Georgia, USA. Worked under this project for USDA, United States Department of Agriculture, during her graduation. The session will be taken by Dr. Janki Kota I'm really sorry. Session will be taken by Dr. Lakshmi Kota. Over 10 years of cross cultural experiences as clinical nutritionist and food scientist, she worked in various aspects of pediatric and gynec nutrition. Currently heads Apollo Life for Nutrition Pan India, and is a columnist for Be Positive magazine. That is Your Life. The talk would be on basic concepts of nutrition with a focus on good and bad carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. So importance of oils, and also exercise, sleep, and stress. So she would be covering the overall health benefits of good nutrition now. So with this, I would like to welcome Dr. Lakshmi onto Tea Talks. Welcome, Dr. Lakshmi.
Hello all. Thank you for welcoming me to this platform of Tea Talks. And I think this is my first session, and I'm glad to be on a platform where there are all my fellow nutritionists, and also the beginners in nutrition, all the students. I would love to share a few thoughts, or share whatever knowledge that I have among this community. Good evening, one and all. Today's topic that I have took is a little challenging, where there is not basic, there is basically a dicey topic, which there has not been too much research on this, and we are waiting for conclusive evidence on this research. So the topic for today is gluten. Is it like a villain or an innocent bystander? What do we think? So as nutritionists, we all know that most of our clients ask us for, gluten-free diet, and just so how we need to proceed as a scientific community, and also a commoner, how do you have to take this gluten-free diet? Is it a myth or is it a fact? So today we are going to share a little bit on that. Okay, so I would want to give a little introduction on this. So more than 20% of the general population follow a gluten-free diet. And more than that, half of these people are motivated to do so because they believe it is a healthier alternative. Yeah, so many others do it for weight loss. This means many more individuals are following a gluten-free diet than they needed to because of the diagnosis of celiac disease, which is only 1%. And more follow so because gluten-free diet professes to say that, if you have a non-celiac wheat sensitivity, you're going to have lesser symptoms, and it's going to help you lose weight faster. So is this a myth or is it a fact? So we want to go inside and dwell into this. So when did it all start? So basically, gluten-free diet recently has become a fad because of there's a doctor by name Peter Gibson. So in 2011, what he did was, he did a study and said that for the benefits of gluten-free diet for non-celiac celiac individuals, the gluten-free market was already a runway for $10 billion in success. So he did a double-blinded study and showed that even people without celiac diseases had, reduced intestinal troubles when they stopped the wheat products. So this was the actual scientific evidence given back in 2011, where the gluten-free industry came into the market, and it has been galloping since then. So this was a little bit of introduction, and I would just want to start with the slideshow. I made a few slides for us and also the students of nutrition. So let's start by saying that gluten, is it a villain or an innocent bystander? What do we think? So first of all, what is gluten? As we all know, gluten is a protein. Okay, it's a mixture of proteins. It's mainly gliadin and glutenin, which is found in wheat. Other than wheat, it also is present in barley, rye, and also some wheat contaminated oats, because oats are mostly processed in, the mills which process.
Excuse me, Dr. Lakshmi, can you make it to full screen?
One second.
Yeah. So that,
Yeah, from current slide. Above that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Sorry for that.
Yeah, no problem. So basically, we were talking about what gluten is. So gluten is a form of protein, right? So we say barley and rye are also grains which contain gluten, and also wheat contaminated oats. So wheat contaminated oats, because mostly oats are processed in the wheat factory again. So you have to make sure and see behind the label to see, I mean, usually out of India, they write on the oats packet saying that these oats are manufactured from, the wheat factory, or the manufacturing in the wheat containing factory. So you have the label there. So this is usually important for people with celiac disorders. Next, the dough. When you prepare the wheat dough, it gives this gluten gives it the elasticity, or the bread its elasticity, and it helps in baking, and it also gives this chewy and satisfactory texture. So, however, it can cause problems in people with certain health conditions. So what are those health conditions? One is celiac disease, second is gluten sensitivity, third is wheat allergy, and fourth is non-celiac disorders. So we are going to study a little bit among these in the coming slides. So first is, what is celiac disease? So celiac disease is an autoimmune disorder. That is, your body attacks your own immune cells, in which your body reacts poorly in the presence of gluten and attacks the lining of the intestine, the small intestine. So inside the lining of the small intestine, we have these coils called as finger-like objects called as villi, which we have studied in biology in the 10th grade. And what exactly happens is, because of the improper absorption, these villi, which are finger-shaped, what happens is they tend to become straight. When they tend to become straight, there is less amount of absorption of all the nutrients in the small intestine. So when there is less amount of absorption, it causes serious health disorders. So over time, celiac disease can cause serious health issues, and only treatment is to avoid gluten altogether. So this is where the scientists have discovered that gluten is serious for celiac disease. And then there's one kicker here, which says that less than 1% of the US population, this is a study done by National Institute of Health, which said that only less than 1% of the US population has actual celiac disease. Okay, so this is where the link has started, celiac disease and gluten. And then further down the lane, it has come to non-celiac disease and how gluten influences this non-celiac diseases. So what are the symptoms of celiac disease? So digestive discomfort, tissue damage in small intestines, bloating, diarrhea, constipation, headache, tiredness, skin rashes, depression, and unexplained weight loss, and also foul-smelling feces. This is because of the improper gut microbiome. Next is the non-celiac gluten sensitivity. So as nutritionists and as scientific community, we have to stress more on this, and we have to stress more on this research and how we need to put forward our thoughts to the general public. So what happens in this celiac gluten, non-celiac gluten sensitivity is that it's a set of symptoms in the gut, which is which has the absence of genetic, immune, serological biomarkers of celiac disease or wheat allergy that appears to resolve on its own with a gluten-free diet. So what are the symptoms? They are diarrhea, stomach pain, tiredness, bloating, depression. But again, mind you, this is not an autoimmune disorder, okay? It is similar to celiac disease, but again, there are no serological biomarkers for celiac disease, okay? And further down the lane, I'm going to explain, how are you going to actually say that I have a non-celiac gluten sensitivity? Is there a test or is there a biomarker per se to specifically say that as nutritionists, can we tell somebody that they come to us and say, ma'am, give us a gluten-free diet? Can we say, go and get this test done and we'll see if you're really gluten-free or not? Can we say that? Currently, there is none. So further down the lane, we are going to talk a little bit about that. So there was one study in which there were 392 people who self-diagnosed and said that, ma'am, I have a gluten-free, non-celiac gluten disorder. So give me a gluten-free diet. So when they actually tested it, the results showed that only 26 people had celiac disease in that, and two of them have wheat allergy. So, and the remaining of the 360 people received a diagnosis of gluten sensitivity. So that means we have to self-diagnose. It is Google diagnosis, and there is no diagnosis as such which says you have a non-celiac gluten sensitivity. So it is a very difficult task for us nutritionists to actually locate and say, okay, yes, you have non-celiac gluten sensitivity, and I am going to prescribe you a gluten-free diet. And there are other two diseases in which we can link this to gluten sensitivity. One is irritable bowel syndrome. As we all know, we get common complaints regarding IBS, and it is really difficult task to pinpoint exactly what is causing IBS for that particular person, right? So what are the common symptoms of IBS? They are abdominal pain, cramping, bloating, gas, diarrhea, or constipation, or both. So IBS is a chronic condition in which people can manage this either with diet and also lifestyle changes and stress management techniques. For people with some mental disabilities or mental stress diseases, they also get the IBS. But still, again, it is linked to gluten sensitivity. Again, gluten is the villain here, which says that because I'm eating gluten, I'm going to get IBS, which is not the case as such. So this has shown, again, research has shown that individuals with IBS may benefit from gluten-free diet, but exactly we cannot pinpoint saying that, okay, gluten and IBS is closely related. Gluten, can trigger the already occurring symptoms of abdominal cramping and pain, but it can also be, IBS can also be related to stress. So we have to, as nutritionists, I think we have to analyze 360 degrees when we have a IBS patient and we say that gluten is exactly the culprit here. So we have to ask them their lifestyle disorders, and we also have to ask them what their source of stress is. If they have any stress in either the working environment or the home environment, try to pinpoint it, and I think try to advise them to take a psychological counseling as well. Next, fourth one, I would say, is the wheat allergy. So what is wheat allergy? For an estimated of 0.2 to 1% of the pediatric population, wheat allergy may be causing digestive issues after consuming gluten. However, up to 60% find that these issues resolve on its own as they reach adulthood. So people with wheat allergy may still consume foods such as gluten, as barley, rye, without experiencing an adverse reaction. So basically, when I say wheat allergy, I have seen mostly in pediatric patients rather than in adult patients. So when you have wheat allergy, I think you would be able to pinpoint that as a child. in the year ages of, like, I would say 1.5 to 4, you would be getting this wheat allergy. But it's very, very uncommon to see wheat allergy in adults unless they go for an allergy test, and they, I think it should be about 2 to 5% of the population, adult population, which actually get wheat allergy. So now, what is a deal? So, okay, how do we actually test if there is intolerance or if there is sensitivity? Now, there are a lot of people who come to us and say, ma'am, I give some diet, and they would say, I'm allergic to that. So when I say, are you allergic to that? I mean, I don't like, it's like, I'm allergic to buttermilk, or I'm allergic to curd. So what I came to know now here is that when they say I'm allergic to that, that means they don't like that certain food. True. It's not that they actually have an allergy. So we have to first explain to them the difference of the meaning of the words of allergy and dislike. So when we explain that to them before asking them the diet history, probably we can, put it in the right columns and give them a certain diet. So that's why I put this slide down today. So when we say intolerance versus sensitivity, digestive discomfort is the indication of gluten intolerance. The person may have anemia or trouble gaining weight. To determine the cause of the discomfort, people can ask their doctor to check for celiac disease first. Okay. So how do you check for celiac disease? We can say that there's several blood tests to screen for antibodies. A common one is the IgA test, okay, immunoglobulin A test. If this is positive, the doctor may recommend again a tissue biopsy to confirm the results. Then again, if that is confirmed, the blood work is confirmed, then we go into the biopsy. So the biopsy from the small intestine is taken by a health professional, and this is sent for analysis. So a non-celiac disease, the best way to, is there a screening for a non-celiac disease? So we have two kinds of patients. So they say, I'm allergic to wheat. First we say, okay, go and get your celiac disease tested. Of course, if celiac disease is negative, what do we do next? We have to check if they have non-celiac disease. So how do we do that? Non-celiac disease, the best way to find out if they are sensitive to gluten is to follow a strict gluten-free diet for a few weeks and see if the symptoms improve, right? So you have to, then again, if the symptoms have improved, introduce the gluten back into the diet to see if the symptoms return. If the symptoms don't return, that means that they do not have the non-celiac gluten-free disorder. Okay, so it means it's something else, or if it's just in their mind that, okay, I'm eating gluten, that's why I'm sensitive. So this is one kind of screening for us nutritionists, how to, pinpoint if it is celiac or if it is a non-celiac disorder. Now, this is again FODMAPS. This is again the primary thing when we are talking about gluten. Okay, before we say gluten, you are the villain and you are causing all the intestinal disorders, what we have seen, including IBS, wheat allergy, blah, 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 everything, you are the cause of it. Okay, before we say blame wheat as a villain, let's talk about FODMAPs. So what are actually FODMAPs? Indigestible sugars in wheat or fermentable short chain fatty acids are called as FODMAPs. This is a short term for that. These cause problems for most non-celiac gluten allergy, okay, experienced while eating this wheat. So FODMAPs, where are these FODMAPs? They linger in the guts of some people where they feast on the bacteria. So when they feast on the bacteria, while fermenting these sugars, the bacteria release release gas and cause bloating of the GIT, gastrointestinal tract. So there's the scientist I was recently speaking about, Mr. Gibson. He found that when you decrease the FODMAPs to 75% of the people with bowel symptoms are better, right? So as nutritionists, we have 3 screenings. One is to determine if they really have celiac disorder. Second is if they have non-celiac disorder, how to eliminate wheat. And if we have eliminated wheat and then we have reintroduced wheat into their diet and they are fine, then the next step we need to take is to see if there are any FODMAPs in their diet, which is again causing them a problem in their bloating. So we have to see what are the FODMAPs in their diet, how to eliminate these FODMAPs, and what are the foods which contain FODMAPs. These are like basically dairy. So we have to eliminate the dairy and see if that is actually causing the problem with bloating and gastrointestinal disorders. So gluten-free diet, is it a myth or is it a fact? What as nutritionists and scientific community do we have to actually look at when giving a gluten-free diet? Why is unnecessary gluten-free diet a potential safety hazard? Is it a hazard by itself? Gluten-free diet results in greater consumption of whole foods. That is, it includes fruits, vegetables, pulses, and which are all again naturally gluten-free. We are not eating grains, particularly which are gluten-free. So lower intake of processed foods in some people, excuse me, overall research suggests that gluten-free diet leads to compromised intake of dietary fiber. Obviously, wheat, if we are taking with husk, has a lot of fiber, right? And it has low amount of B vitamins. And also we are losing on iron and zinc when we are completely going gluten-free. So we have to ensure that if any of our client is going gluten-free diet, they are getting their B vitamins, they are getting their dietary fiber from other sources. Also, they're getting their iron and zinc. And the notion that gluten-free packaged foods are more nutritious than their gluten-containing counterparts is also unfounded. So there is no research that says that, okay, your gluten-free diet is nutritious than your non-gluten-free diet, okay? Because otherwise, if we see, there are B vitamins there are some vitamins here, micronutrients, macronutrients. So basically what I would say is balance it out. Like if you do not have any gluten sensitivity, if you do not have IBS, if your digestive system is working fine, right? Just because a friend of yours is following a gluten-free diet, you do not need to follow that. Okay, don't just follow the crowd and just see what works for you better. Now, I had to dig deep to see if gluten is really a villain. Okay, there was a gold standard study. It was a double-blind placebo study, which suggests that the gut symptom improved in response to gluten-free diet is because of the inherent reduction of other food components which are known to irritate the gut, which are called as fructans or are FODMAPs. And perhaps gluten is an innocent bystander. Okay, this was a study, gold standard study design. Then non-celiac wheat sensitivity included, if they have non-celiac wheat sensitivity, it included fatigue, headache, muscle pain, skin rashes, depression, anemia have been reported along with an irritable gut, with few clinical trials evaluating this range of symptoms. So basically what he's saying is once they eradicated fructans from their diet, all these symptoms have gone back to where they were. And there were lack of reproducible results because of the absence of a diagnostic biomarker. There was no biomarker which said that, okay, this is a non-celiac wheat sensitivity, which makes, because there is no diagnosis as such, it makes a job for nutritionists as us, a really hard job to pinpoint because of the absence of biomarker in properly non-diagnosing the non-celiac disorders. Again, so as a nutritionist or scientific community, what should we wait for? What research should we wait for to pinpoint and say that, yes, you have a non-celiac disorder, gluten sensitivity? So this is, there has to be a defining mechanistic pathway that lead to development of non-celiac wheat sensitivity would help to convince us as a wider scientific community. There has to be 3 types of tests. One is systemic immune activation via intestinal barrier dysfunction. We have to dysfunction the intestinal barrier and we have to see how we can activate the systemic immune system. Second is microbial translocation. What kind of bacteria is actually, how can we translocate this microbiome in our small intestine? Third is the proteolytic activity of certain small intestinal bacteria. These 3 tests have to be done. And the 4th challenging thing is there has to be human studies for this. So an outstanding challenge is testing that mechanistic findings have to be in human studies and importantly to correlate postulated mechanisms with gluten-specific symptomatic response. So this is the biggest challenge that we need to have these 3 kind of studies, especially done in humans and in human gut. Once these tests are established, it will be an easier job for us to pinpoint, okay, you have IBS, you have celiac, you have non-celiac, and you have wheat allergy. So these studies have to be done. Probably in the next 10 years, we'll be able to have evidence for these studies. So I think this is the same thing that I have told in the last slide. So, okay. So what does this mean for people today who think they are sensitive to wheat proteins or fermentable sugars or both? So the easiest thing to do is to avoid wheat altogether. So you have a client who's potentially saying that she is wheat sensitive and she is allergic to both FODMAPs and wheats. So what do? The easiest thing to do is avoid wheat altogether. Though the research predicts that each person has a unique problem with wheat, will be better diagnosed with coming age of personalized medicine. So as we all know that nutrigenomics is the next coming pathway, where we are going to have on a chip, we are going to have our DNA, which is mapped, which says that, with your, maybe we're going to have like a PAN card or on a card, which we are going to give it to our doctor and say, this is my genome, okay? And then probably they'll come to us as nutritionists with that card and say, okay, this is my genome, give me a diet for this, right? So I wish that would happen sooner before I get old. And it would be really challenging for us to give that personalized kind of nutrition for that particular genome. Okay, so probably once we have that genome mapped, we would eradicate cancer, we can eradicate diabetes, we can eradicate any disease that is there. So what we are doing currently as nutritionists is, it's like we are prescribing a diet and we are hoping that it works, right? So had we have that PAN card of the nutrigenomics, we would be like doctors right now. So a doctor's job is much easier than us because they know that there's a diagnostic test there and they have the symptoms and they have the patient. All they have to do is write an antibiotic, which is antibacterial, antiviral, or whatever, and just cure the disease. Okay, so I think that's why their, I mean, no offense, but their, the amount of time they take to convince one patient is, I think, 10 minutes, when compared to us nutritionists, we have to put in 45 minutes to 1 hour to convince that one client, saying that, this diet works for you because this is your condition. Okay, so hopefully we'll get to that era where we have this diet mapped on a genome, right? So then at the end, what is it that I have to say is, ideally we can take stool samples from a person's intestinal bacteria or the FODMAP or the gluten problem and say that, okay, because your stool sample has this kind of intestinal bacteria, you might have a FODMAP or you might have a gluten problem. So at the end, I found that this is the least thing we can do. This is by Dr. He's from University of Michigan, and he has done a bowel control program. His name is Dr. William Che, who said that if you analyze the stool samples currently, you can actually pinpoint if it is a FODMAP problem or a gluten problem. So this is as deep I could dig to see that where can we pinpoint if this is actually a gluten problem or a FODMAP problem. So hopefully these tests will be coming to all diagnostic centers in future to see if, to make our job as nutritionists easier. So gluten-free grains, what are gluten-free grains? They are rice, oats, quinoa, flax, millets, sorghum, tapioca, buckwheat, arrowroot, amaranth. These are some of the foods that we can introduce if a person has any gluten allergy or intolerance. And at the end, I would say that to the topic, is wheat a villain or an innocent bystander? I would say the jury is yet to be out because we do not have any human intervention studies like I have spoken, the last 3 studies. Once those human intervention studies are done, then I would actually, okay, if I am there currently with all the COVIDs that are there, and if I'm alive, I would like to say that I would say that, okay, this is the judgment for today, saying that the gluten is innocent or it is a villain. So, for today, I would say that gluten is an innocent bystander, yes, because the results are still yet to be out.
Very true.
Thank you.
Thank you, doctor. Thank you so much. So
Very crisp and nice.
Yeah.
clear, actually, very clear.
And you
Doc,
also highlighted that FODMAPS thing,
yeah,
which is very important nowadays. Everybody's, the clients, they do Google research, and they gain so much knowledge, and they directly are asking for, give me a FODMAP diet,
diet.
no FODMAP diet.
Yeah.
So
So I
now,
think
next
anybody who
level is
can,
next
yeah,
level to
anybody,
gluten is FODMAP.
right, right. Anybody who can read Google is a doctor, I guess, these days. So,
Yes. Doctor, you can just stop screen sharing.
okay.
Yes. Oh, yes. So yeah, audience, Dr. Lakshmi is here. Any questions with regards to the gluten, you can just post your questions. Doctor is here to clarify your doubts. Yeah, moving on to the questions. I mean, we have few questions, doctor. So does gluten really affect hypothyroid?
This is actually a very good question, because anybody who has thyroid would say that give me a gluten-free diet. But again, see, thyroid, there is something called as Hashimoto's, which is an autoimmune disorder in thyroid. See, unless you have Hashimoto's, we cannot come there. I have done the research, but all the research links gluten-free diet to Hashimoto's disease rather than the thyroid, that is normal thyroid that we have, right? So there is no clear indication that says that if you have a thyroid, then you need to use a gluten-free diet, unless it is an autoimmune disorder. So all the autoimmune disorders have been linked to the gluten because of, be it rheumatoid arthritis, be it lupus, be it your celiac disorder, or even actually type 1 diabetes. Okay, all of these have been linked to gluten-free diet, but not thyroid alone per se.
Okay, and what if in the type 1 diabetes, like I have seen recently a case again, where type 1 diabetes attacking a girl of 20-year-old.
Okay.
Now at the age of 20 years. Now, like how we can take the steps over here, like, with regards to the gluten again.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
See, yeah. So I have actually done some study, and 2018, a research has been done taking a group of people of different age groups of type 1 diabetes and type 2 diabetes. Okay. Because the type 1 diabetes is again an autoimmune, which we can claim, if you eradicate gluten from type 1 diabetes, the insulin sensitivity is rather better in type 1 diabetes than in type 2 diabetes.
Okay.
Okay. And again, this is my personal opinion, but I haven't seen much research on this. But again, when you have like a diabetes, especially in South Indian population, they'll say, stop eating rice completely, eat chapati. Eat chapati, right? Again, so chapati, again, they will not quantify it, right?
Yes.
So without quantifying, they'll say eat chapati. So the chapatis will be 3, 5, 10, how many ever. Okay. So if you're eating so much of gluten, morning, afternoon, and night, okay, without eating rice, obviously there'll be, too much of gluten in the body, which can again cause inflammation if you are diabetic. Right. So what I would suggest is, you don't necessarily need a gluten-free diet with type 2 diabetes. You can, of course, have a little bit of jawar roti, a little bit of rice, and also equal quantities of fiber and equal quantity of protein.
Yes.
So actually, I think in some of my clients that has worked better than me taking them completely off rice. Right. So once I say off rice, they'll run to the hills.
Very true. Especially we being South Indians.
Correct. So I think maybe we can put in that little bit of rice and also put in more of, protein in the plate and more of fiber and salad. And tell them eat equal quantity of this rice. If you're eating this much fistful of rice, eat fistful of a salad, eat fistful of protein. So that way it works better than saying, eat so much of rice and eat so much of curry, or eat 5 chapatis and eat less of curry.
Right. And So similar can we go with the type 1 diabetes, as I said in the
See, type 1 diabetes, eliminate gluten completely.
Completely. Okay.
Eliminate completely. Yeah.
Okay.
So what even oats which are processed in the wheat factory, eliminate oats also. Eliminate barley, eliminate rye, eliminate oats, and also wheat completely. And of course they would show better. And the pancreas would show better action than having gluten diet in their diet.
Yeah, this type 1 associated with the weight loss again, a severe weight loss kind of thing. So you are eliminating the gluten, will it has any effect on their weight? I mean, any good results on the weight if we can do this? See, again, this has a direct effect on the pancreas, right? Islets of Langerhans there. But I wouldn't per se say it has effect on the fat cells. Okay. Okay. So maybe better lock and key model of the insulin and the glucose. Okay. Right. Better insulin production, but probably not. I wouldn't actually say it would lead to weight loss unless they're exercising and maintaining a proper diet. No. The client is facing a severe weight loss with type 1 diabetes. Oh, facing a severe weight loss. Yes. Okay. So will it help in increasing her weight? Like when you can eliminate completely. That will definitely have a positive effect. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Weight loss could be due to uncontrolled sugar levels. Maybe they may be wasting. So once
they have to. Correct. And also you have to manage the amount of insulin that they're taking. Yeah. Right. As Dr. Janaki said, it might be because of the less amount of insulin that is available also.
Yeah. Right. Right. Yes. Yes, doctor, you have any questions?
So a few questions we did in the morning. So does the lactose intolerant also need to avoid gluten?
It is
again,
actually
people cannot identify whether this, that, or
So while I was doing pediatric nutrition, when I came to India in the starting, I used to do pediatric nutrition. See, then the kids, when they start having solid food, right? Or there are some people who do not know that you should not introduce, cow's milk or buffalo's milk within the first year. So some, low income population, they introduce this cow's milk before itself. And then after 1.5 years, the kid starts to have digestive issues, right? So it is during that time, that is a very crucial time for us as nutritionists to introduce foods properly, right? So once we are introducing, if we pinpoint that this person has lactose intolerance, we have to avoid the lactose. But lactose is A and gluten is B. So A and B, there is nothing correlated. So basically this allergy is completely different than that allergy. So it doesn't mean that if you are lactose intolerant, you will be gluten intolerant too. Or if you have gluten intolerance, you are lactose intolerant too. It cannot be that, because the enzymes digesting those two are different. Right. Okay.
So another question, some works say that gluten increases intestinal permeability, and thus some undigested food and bacteria pass through the barrier and into the bloodstream. So and causing inflammation. Is it really true? I mean, I'm so very apprehensive of this.
See, again, Dr. Janaki, the thing is, if you really have a celiac disorder, this happens.
Okay.
It will cross your barrier, it will go into your intestine, and then it will, your villi will become straight, and then it will cause absorption disorders. That is for sure. But again, non-celiac gluten sensitivity, we do not have biomarkers to actually predict and say that, okay, for me, this is happening.
Right.
Okay. So I think that would be my opinion.
Yeah. So we also really don't know about this. This is open thinking kind of thing.
Yes.
to do with the inflammation. And also many influencers keep talking about, we have so many influences around. So they keep talking about gluten being the sticky part, as if it is going to stick to the intestines, and that's why it is causing the problem. How much truth is there in that?
See, if we are saying sticky, okra is sticky, lady's finger, right?
Right.
But we say a lady's finger is good for cancer. If you eat lady's finger, you get good math. The influencers say that also, right? So that is also sticky.
Right.
So this is also sticky. So
Both should stick.
It should also stick. So I have relatable answers to these so-called influencers without degrees who give us claims saying that, start cooking like this. And recently in this COVID, like 2-3 years since quarantine started, every other person calls me and says, I am a lawyer, I'm not practicing law, and now it's COVID. Give me one course, a small diploma course where I can become a nutritionist. And I want to practice.
Very true.
Right. So my answer back to them is, would you go to a heart surgeon and ask him, can you give me a course in 6 months where I can do a heart surgery?
Very true.
So nutrition is actually a science, which probably I have studied for 4 plus 3 plus 4 years. Yeah. So, it's actually a science which starts from cellular level, right? So when these influencers come out with claims like this without, having a biochemical background or proper evidence. So what I would say is to this answer, see, wheat actually is, I agree, is sticky, right? But wheat also has husk, right? Wheat also has fiber. So whenever we are eating something sticky, like for example, Mexican food, they eat tacos, right? They have something called as tortillas, which are sticky. Again, in that they put avocados, they put all vegetables, they put beans, they also put chicken, and they put different kind of salad on the top, salsa, which is all fiber. So to something sticky, we are rolling it in fiber and we are taking it down the gut for proper peristaltic movements of the gut. So that's why all your carbohydrates are sort of sticky, but they do go inside the intestine because of the fiber content in it. Right.
Very
and also
nice.
intestine has it's a mucus to clean it up. It's a self-cleaning.
Yes, intestine again is self-cleaning. It self-cleans itself unless you have a celiac disorder and your villi are becoming straight. Right. So unless you have that problem, you don't need to clean the intestines or brush it down we just brush our mouth. We don't go down the esophagus and take everything out. So it is just basically we go into this drinking lemon water in the morning to clean the gut. So it is not exactly cleaning the gut, but to just increase the temperature of your body or to make your gut alkaline. That is all there is. Yeah.
And also people drink lots and lots of water to clean the gut. That is also another thing. And there are other things like colon cleaning and so many other things have come
colon
up.
hydrotherapy.
So, there are clinics actually. They do practice this.
Yeah.
So, and many people think as if, like how a pipe system would be. They think if you, if you put things
water.
like how,
drain cleaner, right?
Yeah.
Cleans the drain. But again,
this pipe is with the life. It has its own
cleaning mechanism.
See, and again, we are talking about gut health, right? When we speak about gut health, we speak about colonizing good bacteria in the colon.
Right.
To reduce our colonic cancers. So if we are talking about that, and also we are talking about cleaning the colon, so where are we actually going?
Yeah, where is this bacteria going again?
Yeah.
And how are we going to be healthy?
That's why again, very shortly, when this kind of extreme cleaning happens, they have some sort of bloating and some sort of gastric issues and all those things that will crop up
again. Yeah, as nutritionists,
and they may not pass the motion unless the colon is bulked up again. So that's how it will be. It cannot pass that quickly again. They may take 2 or 3, 4 days rest for passing the bowel.
Because I think again it is because of the bacteria, right? They have to colonize the bacteria again to pass that out.
So talking
And again,
about color,
yeah, we have liver, we have kidneys to detox. That's their job to, you know, keep detoxing it. And the fad thing that has come out is again detox diets. So I don't know where these detox diets come and where they actually work. I mean, if you're talking about intermittent fasting, I understand, but I don't understand what is this 5-day, like 3-day detox, 2-day detox that nutritionists suggest. What are they actually trying to do is what I don't understand.
see, yeah, intermittent fasting. Actually, our type of eating itself is intermittent fasting. So we usually have a breakfast at 7:30 and finish our dinner at 7:30. So that will take care of that. I mean, that
Without
is more
thinking.
than enough.
Yeah.
Without thinking. Without
Yeah.
thinking.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they'll be thinking now 5 o'clock my end time, 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock my end time. I've
Very
been
true.
jumping and all these kind of system that people
Yeah.
go through. So talking about colonizing the good bacteria, I read somewhere this excess bacteria also. Any can you throw some light on excess bacteria? Taking excess, people start taking probiotics in tablet form or liquid form.
Okay. See, again, I have a mixed thing about this, Dr. Janaki, because in India here, we usually take a lot of probiotics. We have curd, you know, we have idli, we have dosa. I mean, I guess traditionally our ancestors were very smart.
Yes.
You know, without thinking or without knowing what is prebiotic, without knowing what is probiotic, they have introduced us to such kind of really good nutritional traditional food that we don't think about this. But outside of India or other countries where probiotics is not included in their diet per se. So either there is pickles or there is yogurts which they have to buy in the store which contains sugar in it again, right?
Yes.
So for them, for that kind of population, I think it is okay for them to take 1 or 2 probiotic pills, or for that matter, natural probiotic source is also good. So nowadays, kombucha is really a fad there outside India.
Yes.
So in kombucha, there is good amount of probiotic bacteria. So everybody, so if I say probiotics, they go for like kimchi, they go for, this kombucha. And tempeh, all these products. So basically, for them, actually, nutritious, you just have to check what their diet history is. Right. If their diet history already contains, if traditionally they have probiotics in their diet, then it's no need to actually take in probiotics. But for example, you say, there are some clients who say that I have lactose intolerance, I do not want to eat curd. But they do not understand that the lactose is broken down to lactase when the curd is formed. So they refuse to take. So when in such clients or in such patients, you can always recommend kombucha, or you can recommend, probiotic foods rather than giving probiotic supplements.
Right.
Do probiotics lessen FODMAPs?
Do probiotics?
Lessen the lingering FODMAPs in the digestive system?
I think so, because they help in colonizing the good bacteria. Okay. So once the good bacteria is colonized, definitely we would eliminate bloating, gas, and everything. So actually, I don't know if you follow this guy. His name is Dr. Mark Hyman. He's actually he's actually a doctor who's actually turned into a functional doctor. So functional nutrition is the in thing there in California and US. So where they are trying to resolve the diseases from the start. So when you say from the start, that would mean from the nutrition standpoint of view. So basically, he's advocating a lot of this gut bacteria. And also, if you follow him on Instagram, you see that he talks to experts every week, doctors or functional medicine experts. Everybody is talking about colonizing the good bacteria. It is also directly related to Alzheimer's. It is also related to cancers. And definitely resolving Alzheimer's. So if in case there is a genetic disorder of Alzheimer's in your genes, then I think it is better to take a probiotic or a prebiotic from the early stages to stop the, you eventually will get the disease, but to push it farther down. How much age can you push it?
Right.
To prevent that disease. Yeah. So you can always take the probiotic bacteria. So it is actually the in thing now. Probably if you do a next talk, Mayuri, you can talk on colonizing good bacteria.
True.
What kind of foods can we take, and what diseases does this colonizing good bacteria prevent?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, colonizing bacteria and the diseases that it can prevent.
Correct.
Yes.
That's actually a very good topic to throw light on.
Yes.
Any questions?
No, doctor. I mean, we are good to go, doctor.
Okay.
Yeah. No questions from Facebook as of now.
Great. Yeah, it's really nice, very useful for us, and especially for all practitioners. I think we can give a vote of thanks.
Yes.
For sparing such your time.
Yes. So I would like to give this vote of thanks to Dr. Lakshmi Kota, who is here. And thank you, doctor, for being here on Tea Talks Tuesday and giving us such a clear, crisp, and very deep insights of, how gluten is, whether it is a villain or a bystander, innocent bystander, clearing both the things. And it was great to have you on this Tea Talks, doctor.
Thank you. It was a pleasure for me, Mayuri, too. It's nice to interact with all the nutrition community. And definitely, I would try to interact more with you guys.
Sure.
Sure. And do many more talks like
we
this.
need more. We need more such discussions, actually.
Yeah, I think we need to have this kind of platform where we can have discussions and also lead the today's nutritionists in the right way.
Very true.
Correct. Very important.
I think that is very important. Yeah.
Very true.
See, your young nutritionists, upcoming nutritionists, they too are getting influenced by influences, because the influence is so strong. They stand as examples of what they follow. So that is the strength of influences. So maybe we have to change certain things probably to really influence our clients.
We are the influencers.
we have to turn as influencers.
Yes.
Correct. So the other day I was talking to Mayuri, Dr. Janaki, and I was saying, like, as nutritionist community, only if we are strong, then we can influence our upcoming nutritionists, or we can influence the medical doctors to trust us. Actually, trust us and our diets.
Very true, 100%. Doctor.
Yeah.
So we have to turn into influencers. That's it.
Yeah, to really strong. True.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
So thank you, doctor.
Thank you, Dr. Janaki. Thank you, Mayuri, for inviting me to this platform.
Yeah. Thank you all. See you next Tuesday. Same time, same place. Bye for today.